Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. I've been having these thoughts here recently, kind of puzzling to me. Maybe somebody could shed the light on this for me. I was wondering, I was looking at the Democratic primaries. I was looking at the determinations to have Joe Biden as the candidate, nominated for the candidate to run for president against President Trump. And of course, his associate Kamala Harris. And I was thinking, man, they really go really low to pull a candidate out of a hat. The lowest ranking members in the Democratic primary, one had 1%, the other one had 2%. And they're the ones who are now running for president and vice president of the United States of America. Isn't this very strange? Now, I believe Bernie Sanders had a stronger following. I'm pretty sure he did. And he also had a more lively crowd than the ones that are following Joe Biden. Matter of fact, there are very few following Joe Biden at all, because they were not excited about him in the primary, nor are they excited about him now. At least that's what I'm perceiving in the press and these town hall meetings and these things that Joe Biden is holding out there. It just appears to me a very weak ideal to put. And I think really the reason they did it, I think they did it because they knew pretty much there wasn't much of a chance that any one of them could actually beat President Trump in a head-to-head, even in a debate or anything else. So they said, well, hey, we might as well put Joe Biden out. He's been around the longest. Everybody recognizes him. They know the name, so maybe they'll vote for him. Granted, probably some people will vote for him just for namesake, but as far as what he's done in the past in his history, he really has very few accomplishments of anything of any significance regarding law, legislation, anything in this country. The only thing he has connection with are things that are very negative. Like this Obamacare that everybody keeps touting about in these Senate hearings. A very poor bill, a very poor whatever. I mean, some of you may have this coverage, but it really it's not a benefit to us. President Trump is working on a new plan, and I think he's already put it together, and he will have a much better plan as far as doctors and for his medications and things that we look forward to and we need to have to use for our daily medications of maintaining different illnesses like diabetes and hypertension. Of course, diabetes is something that use insulin. The insulin went over the hill. I remember back in earlier days back in the 70s and 80s, when my mom, she was taking insulin, it was only like $3 or something a vial. So it has gone up extremely. I don't even know what the price of it is now. But anyway, moving on. Justice Clarence Thomas wants to revisit social media site immunity. In most cases, the legislation grants immunity from legal prosecution should a user post content that is deemed illegal or defamatory. The Supreme Court recently denied a request to hear a case against one of these internet-based companies and its so-called product. And it appears now that Judge Thomas is starting to have a kind of like, hey, maybe we should look a little deeper into this situation and to see where the responsibility actually lies. Are they allowing these things to go forward and publishing them? I've seen some things, some horrible things on the internet that just been allowed to pass. But if you say something conservatively, if you say something good about President Trump, they block it. If you say something about coronavirus, they'll block that. Even though it's truth, they'll block it because they call it misinformation. Well, some doctors say some things, some doctors say other things. Are you a doctor? Can you actually say something is misinformation if you're not listening to the medical authorities or the science that the Democrat Party always is talking about? There are certain doctors that don't agree with certain medications, or certain treatment. So they're not allowed to express their opinions on social media? Give me a break. Why not? Why can't we post something? The same doctors that sought after President Trump and Walter Reed also appeared with Dr. Emmanuel in regard to the COVID-19 treatments that she was working with here in the Houston area. But they blew that right off the thing. You couldn't even keep it on the page. You posted it and they took it off. Why? Why? Are you a publisher? Can you do that? This is a free social media site. That's a problem, and it needs to be dealt with. Justice Thomas agreed with the court's decision to deny the hearing the first time. However, he said interpreting the section, he interpreted it too widely, and it has some serious consequences for that wider interpretation. Representatives from both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican, have criticized the section for offering protections to companies that are far too broad and allowing misinformation to spread rapidly. In the hearings here about the Russia probe and all these things that have been going on, and a review and stuff in the Senate, the Justice Department, reveals new information on the Russia probe. According to reports, U.S. Attorney John Bash concluded there was no wrongdoing by the Obama administration in unmasking process during the 2016 investigation into the Trump campaign. Unmasking typically helps government officials make sense of intelligence. However, the president has alleged the previous administration leaked the names improperly to reporters, and I tend to agree with that, because where else would the information come from? Meanwhile, the Justice Department has said President Trump's tweets, which authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the Russia investigation, is not a legitimate order. Well, granted, no. As a tweet, no, maybe not. But on Tuesday, reports revealed a declassified spreadsheet that was used to corroborate the Steele dossier. According to the report, several of the claims made by Steele against the Trump campaign were unverified and relied on bad intelligence from mainstream media outlets. CNN. This came after a memo by former CIA Director John Brennan was declassified last week. It contained allegations against the former 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, and it was already stated that they were trying to do some underhanded things to discredit President Trump. It says here in the memo stated her foreign policy advisor had suggested she vilify then candidate Trump by creating the Russia scandal. However, in a recent interview, Brennan argued the memo contained too many redactions to understand the context behind the note on the Clinton campaign. Well, you're watching the Black Conservative Voice, and I'm David Colbert. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you in a moment.
To every single mother, every small business owner, every farmer, every cancer survivor, and every woman out there who has ever been put down by the establishment, it's time to stand up. On November 3rd, we need you to write in Ola Hawatma on the ballot under New York 19th Congressional. Make history in the New York 19th District with the first woman to win by a write-in. Don't just vote. Make history on November 3rd, 2020. Write in Ola Hawatma.
Dr. Melinda Morris supports a strong economy, safe neighborhoods, limited property taxes, and promotes an improved education system. Dr. Melinda Morris wants to improve access and insurance coverage for medical care. Dr. Morris is pro-life and will support right-to-life legislation in Austin. Dr. Morris will remain true to her values when she is elected to office. She is going to Austin to promote life, prosperity, and personal freedom for the constituents of Senate District 13.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Now, we were talking before we took our break in reference to these documents that have been revealed about the Russian probe and the Steele dossier and all these different things like this. And it goes on to say here that her campaign advisors advised her to set up some type of vilification of now President Donald Trump, at that time candidate Trump, to kind of say there was some kind of collusion going on between him and Russia. In the meantime, the president has voiced his frustration over the delay in releasing reports from the Durham probe, which is currently reviewing the origins of the Russian investigation. President Trump and other GOP leaders hoped the review would be done before the November election. Of course, you know they're going to drag on. However, U.S. Attorney John Durham is reportedly not in a rush to produce results before the finalizes a thorough investigation. The president has declassified a number of documents involving the investigation against his 2016 campaign. Many of his allies have reiterated the documents proved the investigation was baseless. Justice Thomas offered an opportunity for the court to look back on the legislation and perhaps create a precedent to determining limits on what freedoms the section should provide. Now, here I am. I'm giving you another prediction. Now, this gentleman, Durham, he's trying to hold up the release of these reports. But I can guarantee you almost to the T that on Monday, the 1st of November, he is going to come out with some kind of lie trying to accuse President Trump once again, reclusion, and once again of this whole thing that is Russia collusion. He wants to raise a question about President Trump. That's all he's waiting for. He's listening to Nancy Pelosi. They're feeding garbage to him, and he's going to wait. He is going to wait, I'm telling you, up to right before the election, maybe the day before, to put out some garbage trying to discredit President Trump's character. They've been trying it all this time. Remember what Nancy Pelosi said? I have a few arrows in my quiver. That's one of the arrows in her quiver. Watch and see what I say. Watch and see if it's not true. He will hold that darn thing up, that report up, all the way to his almost election day. And he's going to bring it out either that Monday or the Friday before. But I'm assuming he's going to bring it out that Monday. They want to get it as close to the election as they possibly can. And they're going to deny that the Democrats are going to deny that they had anything to do with Durham's report or his findings, as they always do. Well, moving on. Once again, the Democrats are on the attack. They're so scared they done found themselves and lost in the conservative space. The conservative court, the conservative Senate, they're lost in there. They're scared, so they're coming out attacking. They're fighting. Bam, bam, bam. And what are they fighting? They're there to confirm or not to confirm a Supreme Court justice. There have been very few questions into how she will vote constitutionally on anything. They're just pushing the ACA, abortion. What did I tell you? They're like a broken record. They might as well just put a tape on like Joe Biden did recently. Just put a tape on, just play the tape. You might as well, because that's pretty much all you're doing. All you're saying the same stupid things. Amy Coney Barrett tells Democrats, Senator, I hope you aren't suggesting I don't have my own mind. And Judge Barrett, this is her statement, everything that Justice Scalia has said is not necessarily something I would agree with or do. Delaware Senator Chris Coons, of course, questions Judge Amy Coney Barrett during the Supreme Court confirmation hearing. You know, this whole thing about these questions in this regard that these people are questioning her about all these other issues. Is that really her concern? Other than personal care for her children, for her family, why are we questioning her about health care? She's only one judge on a judge, going to be on a judge of 9 justices. Now, how do we know all the conservative judges are going to vote her way? They don't always vote the same way. They still may vote a different way on different things. Even Roe versus Wade, we have no idea how they're going to vote. Yeah, they're prejudging everything right up front. What she said, and I really appreciate what she said, and we'll probably read it later on in here, but she said pretty much that I will handle things on a case-by-case basis. How am I going to create precedence on a statement that you're just asking me stuff and references, things that are not in existence, things that have not been brought before the court as of yet, at least to the point where they're an actual case that I'm supposed to be rendering some type of constitutional decision on. And that's what they're doing. They're questioning on stuff that doesn't even exist. Now, granted, there's challenges to the ACA, and no, Amy Coney Barrett does not agree with the ACA, and I'm pretty sure that the ACA is going to get struck down, if any way possible, because this country needs a better health care plan. We were doing okay till Obama stuck his nose in this garbage. I mean, yeah, we might have had some higher rates, but when he got in there starting this Obama garbage, this Obamacare, our rates tripled. And a lot of us were priced right out of health care, period. Amy Coney Barrett staked out on Wednesday her judicial independence, even from her mentor, during another day of intense questioning on Capitol Hill, where she tried to assure senators she would be an impartial jurist and would weigh opposing views fairly. With that, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
I'm Greg Raths. As a veteran, current council member, local businessman, I know our community. As your congressman, I'll fight to reduce healthcare costs, keep our cities safe, and our communities healthy. Our jobs protected, our economy growing, and our nation defended. Orange County is a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, but together we can make it even better.
Vote Greg Raths for Congress.
I'm Greg Raths, and I approve this message.
President Trump made a promise to protect our Social Security and Medicare. He kept that promise, and he always will. Today, Social Security and Medicare are strong, and under President Trump, they will never be cut. President Trump is protecting pre-existing conditions. Prescription drugs are more affordable. The cost of insulin is going down. Under President Trump, our benefits and our health care are safe and secure.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. As I said earlier, Amy Coney Barrett staked out on Wednesday her judicial independence, even from her mentor, former Justice late Justice Antonin Scalia. President Trump's Supreme Court nominee already distanced herself from Trump's tweets on Tuesday, arguing she would be nobody's pawn. But on Wednesday, Barrett also distinguished herself from Justice Antonin Scalia, the late conservative icon from whom Barrett clerked. Since Barrett admittedly subscribed to the same originalist judicial philosophy that Scalia championed, Democrats claim that Scalia's past votes against Obama and gay marriage, not gay marriage. I hate that. It's not gay marriage. No such thing. Marriage is between a man and a woman, not between a woman and a woman and a man and a man. Marriage is between a husband and a wife. And I mean a female wife and a male husband, not somebody calling themselves a husband. So, Scalia passed votes against Obamacare, gay marriage, and Voting Rights Act would be hers too. And I mean, how can you, she does have Judeo-Christian values, which this country was based on, and also constitutional, this Constitution was based on Judeo-Christian values. That's why you Democrats don't want the Constitution. You want to destroy the Constitution. You want to take away the other party's right to filibuster. But what you fail to realize is if you do that, then when it comes your time to offer your filibuster, you won't be able to do it either. So, hey, what can we say? But under questioning from Senator Chris Coons, Delaware, Barrett told the senator it's unfair to expect she would decide the case just as her mentor had done. And I agree with her. She's a woman. She's different. The things that concern her did not concern Justice Scalia. And then she goes on to say, I hope that you aren't suggesting that I don't have my own mind, Barrett said, or that couldn't think independently, or that I would just decide like, let me see what Justice Scalia he said about this past. I assure you I have my own mind. Kudos to Judge Barrett. She shut Mr. Coons up. But Coons was trying to make the case of adding Barrett to the court will fill the seats vacated by Judge Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal icon, will have a profound impact swing to the court in conservative direction with a 6-3 majority. Hey, look, people, this is the way life is. You elect one person gets unseated, and somebody else gets elected. A judge dies. You replace him with another judge. What is so weird, and why are the Democrats so desperately coming out against Judge Barrett? It was Justice Ginsburg's time to die, time to leave this earth. I hold the reins that God is in control. It was time for the court to shift. As I said to you earlier, I did not agree with Justice Ginsburg and a lot of these other justices that kill babies, that support rulings that kill babies and continue to fight for this garbage. And things calling stuff marriage, it isn't marriage. There's no such thing as a same-sex marriage. Same-sex union, or whatever they want to call it, couples hanging out together, what do you want it? But God created marriage between a man and a woman. That's enough said. Coons brought up a poster board of roughly 120 Supreme Court cases that were decided by a 5-4 majority, where Ginsburg was in a majority and Scalia dissented. Let me ask you something, Mr. Coons, Representative Coons. Let me ask you this. Was that fair? Let me ask the Democrat Party. Was that fair? The liberals had control of the court for years. You saw the 120 cases. Was it 5-4? And the Democrats and the liberals got their way. The court was legislating instead of following the Constitution. Was that fair? That was okay, right? Yet you get a judge that's willing to stand by the Constitution, and you take in that persecutor, but standing by this country's Judeo-Christian values. Well, I'm sorry, Democrat Party, you got a Christian about to step onto the court. And she is going to vote her conscience as well as the Constitution, which was put up by a Judeo-Christian government. It's our time as believers to shine conservatively in the Supreme Court. Sorry, this is the way life is. Things change. Sometimes it shifts to the left, sometimes it shifts to the right. Well, it's time to shift to the right now. So stop whining like a bunch of whiny babies because you no longer have control over the Supreme Court. So that means, you know what that means? That means you legislators are going to get off your sorry butts, stop taking vacations, and do your job, and stop depending on these liberal judges in the Supreme Court to do your bidding for you. That's exactly what you're doing. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice. I'm David Colbert.
Do you care about Black lives? I do. And unlike the people that currently run Baltimore, I actually have a plan to make life better for Black people here. Walk with me. I want you to see this. I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This city was once among the most prosperous, populated, and powerful cities in America. So what happened? Our leaders abandoned us and Baltimore fell into ruin. But it doesn't have to be this way. None of this has to be this way. A broken Baltimore does not have to be our future. And that's why I'm running for Congress, because I see the city differently.
I walk the streets of Baltimore and see what could be. I want you to see what I see. I see Baltimore that picks up trash. There are piles of garbage all around Baltimore. It makes life unsafe for our families. I'll work with city leaders to get Baltimore's Solid Waste Bureau the resources it needs to take out the trash.
Our streets should be a reflection of our leaders. Clean, not dirty.
Much of our trash gathers in abandoned homes. There are over 17,000 abandoned buildings in Baltimore. They are a scar on the face of our city.
I will support tax credits and incentive programs to give residents a chance to buy and rehabilitate these homes. Everyone deserves a safe community and a chance at home ownership. Let's put the charm back in Charm City.
Who will live in these homes? The newly employed constituents of Baltimore City. This district needs more jobs. The best way to get them is by having businesses invest in our community. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gives federal tax incentive to drive private investment into opportunity zones just like Baltimore. Who will work in all of these new jobs if we don't have an educated workforce? 9 out of 10 black boys in Baltimore are not reading at grade level. Over a dozen high schools in Baltimore have zero students proficient in math. This is a tragedy. We can end the school to prison pipeline with school choice, providing parents with options to escape schools that do not serve our children.
Let's make Baltimore better for our kids. Isn't that the point? That's my vision for Baltimore. The corrupt leaders hate it. They attack me for taking a stand, for wanting better for our people, our children, our communities. But I'm not the only one who wants better.
Tens of millions of you have shared the struggle of black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change.
I'm Kim Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about black lives. All black lives matter. Our communities matter. We matter. And Baltimore doesn't have to vote Democrat.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert on the CTM News Network, The Voice of Truth. Now, Coons brought up, once again, I said this poster showing roughly 120 Supreme Court cases that were decided by a 5-4 majority where Ginsburg was in the majority. So what are you saying, Coons? Coons, what are you saying? So Scalia dissented. You would expect that of conservative. Well, I'm sorry. Now the conservatives are going to have control of the Supreme Court. Let's see what ruling comes down now. See where this country goes now. It's going to go in a constitutional direction where it should have been going in the first place, instead of putting up with all this foolishness trying to go against what God set up as marriage, and also trying to legislate health care. You need to get off your sorry butt, Democrat, and do your job. Write a plan where the American people will be happy if you're so worried about the ACA. Stop giving us this garbage that is hurting our pocketbooks and hurting people. We stand by President Trump because he stands by the American people. Had Barrett been elected on the court instead of Ginsburg, the difference in cases outcome would have been huge consequences on everyday American, he says, on issues ranging from health care to consumer protection and gun safety and immigration, Coons said. Yes, it would have been a real, there would have been millions of babies still alive. That's one thing. We'd have had millions of more African Americans, blacks, that were alive and living their lives out, instead of our people going out and killing their own generations. Yes, I'm talking to you, African American people. The majority of abortions in this country are performed on African American women to an unequal percentage to whites, Hispanics, Asians, and anybody else. Very high. And I told you this just on the other night. It's very upsetting to me that 17,000 dead babies were found in dumpsters and 13,000 of them were African-American babies. How sad. If we care about black lives, let's care about this garbage that's going on with this abortion mill industry we have in this country. Then she goes on to say, my core concern here, this is Coons' mess, my core concern here, Your Honor, is that your confirmation may launch a new chapter of conservative judicial activism unlike anything we've seen in decades. Great, Coons. Get ready. Do some work. Start legislating. Start get off your behind and stop taking vacations and get to work in Congress and do your job. That's the problem. You Democrats are not doing your job. You're putting up these crazy laws and expect the Supreme Court to pass it. Well, those days are over. They are over. You have conservative justice. We're going to have control of the Supreme Court. Get used to it. And it will be, thank God, for a long time to come. Maybe there'll be another conservative seat will come open soon, too. A seat to put a conservative in. And guess who's going to be president? President Donald J. Trump. Maybe we might even get a 7-2 majority. Think about it. Lost in conservative space. You Democrats need to just zip it up and go home and take a nap. You're crying like a bunch of crybabies. You didn't cry when the liberal justices were in there and they had control of all the garbage you were spewing out. But now you got a conservative court. Now you whining and crying. Well, let's get our 120 rulings in or more before you start complaining. Since you said that everything went the liberal way for the most part for so many years, let's get some conservative votes going right. Conservative activism. Give me a freaking break. And the only thing conservative activism is people sticking to the Constitution of these United States of America. So Democrats, get used to it. No matter what you do, you won't be able to change that number for a while. Trump calls Hunter Biden's emails a smoking gun, and he calls on former vice president to release more information. President Trump told a crowd in Iowa Wednesday that alleged emails from Hunter Biden were a smoking gun, showing the former vice president Joe Biden blatantly lied about his involvement with his son's business dealings with the Ukraine. Here's a quote. We just learned through explosive documents published by a verified newspaper, the New York Post, that Joe Biden has been blatantly lying about his involvement in his son's corrupt business dealings with the Ukraine and the other countries. And this is a big smoking gun, Trump said during a speech at Des Moines, Iowa, at the international airport. A series of emails obtained by Fox News allegedly showed an advisor of the Ukraine gas firm, Burisma, thanking the young Biden in 2015 for giving an invitation to meet his father. Another email from 2014 showed the advisor Vladimir Podhorsky, if I'm pronouncing it right, purportedly asked for Biden's help in stopping what we consider to be politically motivated actions. And we all remember Joe Biden's famous statement. I told me you didn't fire that prosecutor, I was going to withhold $1 billion. Now, if you didn't know these people, how are you going to withhold $1 billion? And who are you threatening? And it amazes me how the media just avoids this. During his rally, the Trump also called on Biden to release all email meetings, phone calls, transcripts, and records related to his involvement in his family's business dealings, influence peddling around the world, including China and including Russia. Biden's campaign responded on Wednesday by denying any wrongdoing and claiming that the former vice president's schedule showed no such meeting taking place. Yeah, of course they're not going to take place. They lied. They're a bunch of freaking lies. They always have been, and they probably always will be. And we need to get these sorry Democrats out of office. Maybe there's some good Democrat candidates out there that maybe are running for office. And I know you're following a trail of money, because the problem is that some of them don't have the money it takes to move forward with their campaigns. But I'm sure there's some honest Democrats. There was one Democrat lady, she was a wonderful lady, and I listened to something she said, and she had a conservative view, but once again, the liberal news media blocked her out. We don't even know. I need to find out who she was. I talked about her last year, and she was actually siding with President Trump. Of course, that's a death knell in this place today because the Democrats are on the attack on President Trump constantly. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert.
Hunter Biden joined the board of a corrupt Ukrainian energy company for over $80,000 a month while Joe Biden was vice president. In China, Hunter joined the board of a private equity company funded by the state-controlled Bank of China. In Romania, Hunter Biden represented a businessman convicted of massive corruption. The question is not why Hunter Biden used his name to get these gigs. It's why Joe Biden let him do it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. As I would like to do, I'd like to tell you that we do have advertising spots here. If you want to advertise with the station, you see the email address on the bottom of the screen. Do shoot us an email, and we will send you rates. Our rates are very reasonable for your campaigns, for your businesses. Very reasonable. You will be unbelievable how you can get your business advertised on this program and other programs on our network. And it's very cheap. So cheap, you would be crazy not to take advantage of it. Our largest audience is in California, Texas, New York, and Florida are some of our larger audiences, although we have other audiences around, and they're growing. Our viewership is averaging around 10 to 15,000 per episode each time that we air this program. So please take advantage of it. Our rate's really cheap. I don't want to announce them because then I'm going to send an inflood and everybody being here. But the rate's really cheap. If you want to find out, do send us an email.